Your curiosity paralyzes and impoverishes you. That sounds harsh, maybe even wrong. We're always told curiosity is a virtue, the engine of discovery, the spark of learning. And it is. But I started thinking about this differently, looking at it through a cold, hard lens, the lens of our financial well-being and our ability to actually do things. And what I saw was unsettling. It wasn't about the obvious ways curiosity might lead you astray, like chasing some get-rich-quick scheme you read about. It was something much quieter, more insidious, happening every single day. It began when I noticed how easily I, and people around me, get pulled down informational rabbit holes. You start with a simple question, maybe about a news event, a historical fact, a new gadget. An hour later, you're 20 tabs deep, having learned a lot of interesting trivia, but nothing that actually moves the needle in your life. It felt like a harmless way to spend time. But then I started considering the cost. Not just the cost of, say, a subscription you signed up for out of curiosity, but the invisible costs. The first big realization was about opportunity cost. This is a basic economic concept, but we rarely apply it to our own attention. Opportunity cost is simply the value of the next best alternative you give up when you make a choice. Every hour you spend indulging a fleeting curiosity, scrolling endless feeds, researching a hobby you'll never start, deep diving into celebrity gossip, is an hour you didn't spend on something potentially more valuable to your goals. That could be working on your business, developing a profitable skill, planning your investments, optimizing your budget, or even just resting productively so you have more energy for those things tomorrow. Think about it. Your attention and your time are your most finite, non-renewable resources, way more valuable than money. Ultimately, curiosity, when it's scattered and unfocused, acts like a constant drain on these resources. It pulls you away from the tasks that build long-term wealth or achieve significant goals. It feels productive because you're learning. But learning random facts without application is just mental entertainment, not progress. How this applies in life? Start consciously noticing where your curiosity takes you throughout the day. Keep a simple log for a few days. Maybe just jotting down topics you spent more than 15 minutes researching impulsively. At the end of the period, look at the list. How much of that time directly or indirectly supported your main goals, financial or otherwise? How much was purely for satisfying a momentary I wonder? Seeing the pattern is the first step. You might realize you're losing hours each week to things that provide zero return, simply because your curiosity wasn't directed. Then there's the second layer, the direct spending driven by curiosity. This goes beyond obvious impulse buys. I'm talking about the money spent specifically to satisfy the itch to know. Think about the online courses you bought because the topic sounded fascinating, but you never completed or applied. The books piling up that seemed intellectually stimulating, but sit unread. The subscriptions to newsletters, magazines, or platforms promising exclusive insights you felt you needed to have. We often justify these purchases as investments in ourselves, in our knowledge, and sometimes they are, but often, if we're honest, the primary driver isn't a strategic need to learn a specific skill for a defined purpose. It's the allure of the unknown, the desire to simply possess the information. Curiosity turns knowledge acquisition from a strategic tool into a form of consumption. You're paying for the temporary hit of satisfaction that comes with feeling informed or having access to something new, regardless of its practical value. It becomes intellectual consumerism, a subtle but steady drain on your finances. How this applies in life? Before clicking buy on any information product, ask yourself two brutally honest questions. 1. What specific problem will this knowledge help me solve? Or what specific, tangible goal will it help me achieve in the near future? 2. How, specifically, will I apply this information? And if you don't have clear, concrete answers, you're likely buying to satisfy curiosity, not to make a strategic investment. Delay the purchase. If the need is real, it will still be there when you have a plan. But the most damaging aspect, the one that truly connects to the paralysis part of the title, is how curiosity fuels paralysis by analysis. This happens when your desire to understand everything about a topic, to leave no stone unturned before making a decision, actually prevents you from making any decision at all. Consider investing. Your curiosity drives you to read every article, watch every video, analyze every chart, understand every possible risk and scenario for a potential investment. You want complete certainty, but the financial markets, like most complex systems in life, are inherently uncertain. The more you learn, the more complexities and potential downsides you uncover. Your curiosity, seeking comprehensive knowledge, ends up flooding you with so much information, so many conflicting opinions and potential pitfalls that you become overwhelmed. The fear of making the wrong choice, amplified by all the data you've gathered, becomes paralyzing. So, you do nothing. You stay in cash, or stick with overly safe options, missing out on potential growth, while you continue your endless quest for perfect information. The same applies to starting a business, changing careers, or any significant life decision with financial implications. Curiosity makes you want the perfect plan, the guaranteed outcome. You research endlessly: market conditions, competitor strategies, potential legal hurdles, best software, ideal marketing approach. Each answer spawns new questions. The sheer volume of information, gathered initially out of genuine curiosity, becomes a cage. You feel you're not ready, you need to know more. The irony is brutal. The very drive to understand and prepare prevents you from ever taking the first step. And while you're paralyzed in research mode, the opportunity window might be closing. The market moves on. How this applies in life. Recognize the point of diminishing returns in research. Set a strict time limit or information threshold for gathering data before making a decision, especially for decisions that are reversible or have limited downsides. Embrace the concept of a good enough decision or a minimum viable action. Instead of aiming for perfect knowledge, aim to gather just enough information to make a reasonably informed first step. Then, act. You'll learn far more from taking action and adjusting course based on real-world feedback than you ever will from passive research. Prioritize doing over knowing everything. So, you see how these pieces fit together? Unmanaged curiosity silently eats your most valuable resource: time and attention. It tricks you into spending money on information consumption disguised as investment. And critically, it often leads you down a path of information overload. That results in crippling inaction. Add these up, and the cumulative effect over years is significant financial drag. You're poorer, not just because of money spent, but because of the income never generated, the investments never made, the ventures never launched, all because your curiosity wasn't channeled. It was allowed to run wild and, ultimately, freeze you. Now, does this mean all curiosity is financially detrimental? Absolutely not. Focused, strategic curiosity is incredibly valuable. Being deeply curious about how a specific industry works, understanding the unmet needs of a customer segment, mastering a complex and in-demand skill. This kind of targeted curiosity drives innovation, expertise, and wealth creation. It's the curiosity that leads you to spot an undervalued asset before others do, or to develop a unique solution to a real problem. That's the curiosity that can make you money. The difference lies in management and intent. Is your curiosity a scattered, reactive force pulling you in 1,000 directions, or is it a focused tool you direct purposefully towards your goals? It's not about killing your curiosity. That would be like trying to stop breathing. It's about understanding its power and its potential downsides. It's about recognizing that this fundamental human drive has real, tangible consequences for your bank account and your ability to act. It requires conscious effort to channel it, to ask why you want to know something, and whether satisfying that itch aligns with where you ultimately want to go. So, the next time you feel that pull, that urge to dive down an interesting but irrelevant rabbit hole, or to gather just one more piece of information before deciding, pause. Ask yourself if your curiosity, in that moment, is serving you or silently sabotaging you. Because that seemingly innocent, I wonder, single, could be the very thing holding you back financially, keeping you paralyzed while the world moves forward. Okay? So we've seen how undirected curiosity can quietly drain our resources and freeze us in place. Understanding the problem is the first step, but the real question is, what do we do about it? How do we harness that powerful drive for good, making it work for us instead of against us, especially in simple, everyday ways? It's not about complex systems or radical changes. It's about small, consistent adjustments in how we engage with information and our own impulses. First, try time-boxing your curiosity. Instead of letting random questions derail your entire morning, allocate a specific, limited block of time, maybe 20 to 30 minutes a day, purely for exploring whatever catches your fancy. Outside of that box, if a non-urgent question pops up, jot it down and save it for your curiosity slot. This acknowledges the need to explore, but prevents it from hijacking productive time. The benefit: you regain control over your schedule and focus, drastically reducing that invisible opportunity cost. Second, practice goal-oriented filtering. Before you click that intriguing link or start researching a new topic, ask yourself a quick, honest question. How does knowing this directly help me achieve one of my top 1 to 3 current goals? If the answer isn't clear or immediate, consciously decide if it's worth the diversion right now. Often, the answer will be it doesn't, but it's interesting. That's fine, but maybe it belongs in your curiosity time box, not your work time. This simple filter helps channel your curiosity towards things that actually move you forward. Third, cultivate an action bias over an information bias. When faced with a decision, especially one related to finances or projects, push yourself to act on good enough information rather than waiting for perfect knowledge. Make a small investment, launch the basic version of the project. Take the first step. You learn more effectively from doing and adjusting than from endless passive research. This directly combats the paralysis by analysis. The benefit is momentum. You start making tangible progress, which builds confidence and generates real-world data far more valuable than theoretical knowledge. Finally, consider a curiosity capture system. Keep a simple note or list where you jot down interesting questions or topics that arise during the day. Don't act on them immediately. Later, perhaps during your time-boxed curiosity session or a weekly review, look at the list. You'll often find that many of the questions no longer seem that important, or you can quickly see which ones actually align with your goals and are worth pursuing further. This creates a buffer between impulse and action. Integrating these small habits doesn't kill your curiosity. It refines it. It turns a potentially scattered force into a focused tool. You'll likely find you have more time, make decisions more decisively, waste less money on informational clutter, and actually make more progress on the things that matter most to you. It's about managing your attention as carefully as you manage your money. Alright, that's the core idea I wanted to share. Thinking about curiosity this way has certainly shifted my own perspective. I hope it gives you something valuable to consider too. Thanks for watching and thinking along with me. Before you go, take a quick look at the description below this video. I put something there you might find interesting, maybe even helpful as you think about applying some of this. Take care.